Happy Friday to everybody. Giorgio, what's happening, buddy? We are back again. We're going to take a look at tomorrow's late pick five and then a few best bets on the Sunday card. How you doing? I like that the backdrop of your wall in my old office. Looking good there, buddy.
All right, I had to cover it up with some something, try to get creative, some cool things in there. So pretty fun and pretty fun weekend. We got the Pumpkin Patch Festival in the infield. We got Oktoberfest in the apron. It's going to be a great weekend. We got great racing as usual here at Santa Anita.
That's right. And always joining us, our man from That's What G Said, Gino Bacolo. What's happening, Gino?
Chappie, I want to give you some props. You gave everybody a winner last week early on in that big pick six, that mandatory payout, a $57 horse. That was a really tough horse to get to on paper that you started out with. And I don't mean to rub it in. I know it was a tough day altogether when it was finished, but it was really good handicapping because that's what we're trying to do here, right? We may not be able to hit every race, but if we can help people get to one of the races that they may have had trouble with, and I know that you did a really good job of doing that last week. We just couldn't quite connect it.
You know, we had the Oktoberfest going on that George is putting on a bunch of festivities for, and that was my top pick on the tip sheet that they get along with it. And I keep thinking, you know, they're down there playing games and drinking beers. I hope a couple of them paid attention to that. And
who does the person like on top, right? Just put a few bucks on them or throw them in a pick three or something, right?
Yeah. So we gave it a good run last week, and I think all of us ended up 5 out of 6. And you know, we all had the price, but that's the way it goes. That's racing. And one man who knows all about that is our man Scotty McKeever from Equine Edge. Scotty, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, I've been kind of incognito. I've been doing my shows on Saturdays. I'm actually covering the Golden Hour both Saturday and Sunday. I hit the Golden Hour Daily Double just now. I didn't have the Golden Hour pick 4, but I did have it a few times, so it actually was a nice payout. You know, these Golden Hour plays now are really doing well. They're really growing these pools, and so we're Equine Edge really glad to be a part of all that. And so I'll be covering race 1 all the way through the last race, both tomorrow and Sunday. And we start at 3:45 Eastern time. For those of you that want to tune in, you can go to equineedge.com and sign up for free for a week, or you can go to YouTube as well. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you get all the notifications as well by clicking on the bell. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the people in the chat room get crazy. They love the Golden Hour. I know that because they tell me all the time. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Well, you know, George, before we get started here, our two guests, the one thing they have in common is, I think they're always on something live 24 hours a day. You know, Scotty does these chat rooms, which is an unbelievable idea. Obviously, Equine Edge takes it to a whole new level. And Gino hasn't slept since 1982. The man needs no coffee. He's got more energy than any person on the planet Earth.
Yeah, and we crossed paths just a few times, though. When I was just finishing up at TVG was when Scotty started working there a little bit. And we definitely have been in some of the same circles here and there. And I know one thing that we also have in common is we'll take some swings at prices too. That's how you separate yourselves, you know, not afraid to throw some prices in and take stands against some of the short price favorites that everybody else might gravitate towards.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I mean, I had never really been on TV at all, and we were at Del Mar, and you actually interviewed me. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I was a nervous wreck.
That's what's funny is that everybody has the information. It's just about getting comfortable in that setting. And now just seeing you and doing all the streams and how successful you've been. You've always been a sharp handicapper, but doing just some incredible work and being able to get your point across and help teach it to other people is really what, you know, kind of the next level is. I know this information. How can I help other people? And you've done a fantastic job with that.
Thanks, Gino. Thank you very
much. I'll tell you what's one thing that's funny is I can remember real quick, and we'll get to it then, is you know, we're all used to this now, but I can remember the day when Simon Bray had his first time on TVG, and he was shaking in his boots, let me tell you. And now he's an old pro at it, you know, but we've all done it for the first time, and it's a scary situation. And then, finally, now it's old hat to the four of us. But hopefully it's not old hat with some winners. And before I mention one last thing, you see behind my shoulder over there that it's not up yet, but the old Lava Man sign is up. And Lava Man, he's already in Kentucky, and he's got one last duty to pony Hot Rod Charlie up to the gate, and then he's going to old friend's farm, and it's time for a happy retirement for a wonderful champion, George.
Yeah, wonderful champion. Everybody loved Lava Man. I was a big part of Lava Man back in the day when Corey Nakatani I couldn't believe he won that race by a nose. That was a spectacular race by Lava Man. He's retiring tomorrow. We have a celebration race 4 because Jay Privman is retired. And so we're going to have a little special presentation for him in race number 4. But tonight on this show, we're going to concentrate on the proceedings that start in race number 5.
Well said. And that being said, let's head to it. Late Pick 5 starts in race 5. 6 furlongs on the turf. Gino, why don't you get us rolling here in race 5?
Yeah, if this field stays intact, it looks like towards the outside of the field, there is a ton of early speed in here. Horses who absolutely want to be right on the lead. And because they're drawn to the outside, that may force them even more to try to show some of that speed, to try to get over and keep from being wide. So I'm looking for horses that I think can sit right behind those speed horses. I don't know if you want to be coming from way, way out of it on this 6 furlong layout. Down the hill, you could be fine coming from the back, but this one, you kind of want to be more mid-pack. 2 horses that really stood out to me that I'll definitely be using. The first one is the 6 Chasing Money. You start diving into Chasing Money, and what's nice about this guy is he has enough speed to keep himself in striking range, but I'd love to see him sitting like 4th, maybe right behind 2 or 3 of those horses that are battling. You look at Chasing Money, and he's been facing Stakes Company in 3 of his last 4 races. This is major class relief for him, and he's actually had legitimate trouble even in those races against better. He wasn't that far out of being competitive. He just didn't get the type of trips he needed in those tougher races. Everything has to go right when you're facing tough horses to compete. This is a really good spot for him. He's going to go 3rd start off of the long layoff, so he could be set for his absolute best in here. Both of the last 2 trips kind of in between traffic, he had to shift out. He can sit. He's proven at 6 furlongs. And then the other one for me is Inch. You know, you look at Inch, and he's stepping up a little bit. He's just been remarkably consistent for Jeff Mullins as of late. And this is a horse who has done so little wrong and should get the same type of trip that I'm looking for. Came rolling up the inside 2 starts back after having some legitimate trouble and just missed encroachment. And now encroachment will have to go a little farther and deal with more pressure. So those 2 will probably build a lot of tickets around.
You know, Gino, I think none of us talked before this race about what we think about. And I for my tip sheet, I am 6-4-2. And we all look ahead, right? So we have to make notes. And I just wrote fast and fast on the 2 outside horses to remind myself that, yes, there is so much speed to the outside. If they both stay in, you always got to remember, somebody scratches, that completely changes the outlook of the race. So what were you looking at here, Scotty, in this race?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Gino, and also you on the 2 horse. I'm only using 2 horses in here for the reasons that Gino said. That outside speed, you've got the 7, 8, and 9, which are the fastest horses in the race, and I think they need to be on the lead, and it's going to force them to be maybe a bit wide. The 9 can be wide, encroachment. They have 20%, 14%, 15% respectively in win percentages. So for me, that tells me that this race is wide open, and that sets it up for the 6 horse Chasing Money and the 2 horse Lincoln City, because both of them need that extra distance, because Chasing Money, 1, has been facing better horses, and 2, doing it at 5 furlongs the last 3 races. Throw out the down the hill, because this formation here in the distance is way different. And then if you look 5 back, that was 6 furlongs here, but that was against a 74 group. And that horse, this horse here, Chasing Money, was 50% on our numbers to win. Now, I know he didn't win, but he dueled from the inside as well. So I think Chasing Money is going to get a really nice trip. Mark Glatt's been on fire. Kyle Frey jumps aboard. And the 2 horse, Lincoln City, might be the horse to beat in this race. This horse is going to just thrive on the extra distance. This horse has been finishing at that 5 furlong distance. And I think this horse gets a really good trip, stays ground. Peter Miller, JJ Hernandez is aboard again, so he re-rides. I think 2-6. It's a wide open race, and I'm not going to be surprised if anybody in here wins, but I'm going to try to take these horses that are kind of tactical that will be sitting in second play.
All right, Georgie, I know you're the sheets guy here. What are the sheets telling you? And did you go a different way than the rest of us kind of see it the same way here in the first leg?
Well, the way I see it, there's a lot of speed in this race, and I'm going to look for a closer. Was that already said on the show? Is that? Oh, I'm sorry. But yes, I am so with you guys. I mean, the outside three are just blazing fast. Give me the Loot. Encroachment, who's won 3 in a row, is going to go to the lead. The 7's going to go to the lead. There's a lot of speed in this race, and I think that Lincoln City is going to be the one. I agree. That's going to take advantage of that. First time in the Miller barn, flew late against Encroachment. And I don't think that it's going to be as fast, that race, as this race kind of purports to be. And I think that's going to set it up perfectly. It's no small detail that JJ keeps the faith for Miller, who's been on fire. He's winning at 25%. So I love Eric Kruljack, but he's like, so you're going from, a 10% to a 25%. The race sets up perfectly for Lincoln City. He's certainly a big key for me. And I think Mac Daddy, too, also coming off that mile race, might have some bottom. And, there's occasions where he likes to go to the lead. But I think if you're Valdivia, you got a sense that you're not going to get the lead from those outside three. So maybe if he can sit, he can close as well. The best last race thoroughgraph number, it belongs to number 2, Lincoln City. If he can repeat that, he's going to win.
And guys, another point to make on Lincoln City is that, well, one, this is the second off the claim for Peter Miller, who, doesn't claim a lot of horses like this. I was kind of surprised, but this is the third race off of a year and a half layoff.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, this horse is likely to save ground from the inside, get a perfect trip, and then come running. Hopefully won't have to go too wide. The horses will be stopping, find a hole under Hernandez, and this horse finishes. I do think Lincoln City's the horse to beat.
And that first race, he actually broke through the gate as well before the race started. And then last time out, like you guys said, flew home and now gets the added distance, Georgie.
Real quick, because you both mentioned that you like chasing money a little bit. What's your take on October 8th? Chasing Money was entered, and it was a vet scratch. Does that how does that influence either Gino or whoever wants to take that? Because I'm not.
It doesn't bother me when I see a work afterwards. That if I've seen the work afterwards, it doesn't bother me. So I know the horse came back and worked, and so I'm okay with it.
All right,
Agreed.
All right, let's move on. Race 6, Georgie. We're going a mile. The old $16,000 claimer, non-winners to 2 lifetime. What do you think here in the second leg?
Yeah, I thought this was one of the most competitive races on the card. If you go to thoroughgraph numbers, they're so evenly matched. Every one of them, 13, 14, 15. It's a very, very evenly matched group. And I think that one of the long shots I'm definitely going to be using is number 4, Awesome Pamela, because we work with Pam. So, little hunch play there. But Awesome Pamela, I thought, ran good last time, despite encountering some trouble. Has been really steady, real steady thoroughgraph numbers. Always, seems to come late. It's not much of a winner, but then again, all of these are just, they've only won once. They're all non-winners of 2 lifetimes. So in a very competitive race, I don't want to be taking Midnight's Girl, who's 2-1. I'm looking for a price, and I like the 1 and the 4 the best.
All right, so a couple prices there. Scotty, are you looking at? Do you think it's wide open here in this mile race down where there's 2 lifetime?
Well, it's really interesting because that George mentions Awesome Pamela. I really like this horse a lot. This horse has no speed, though. That is a little concern for me. It's the Equinedge long shot pick. It's 5-2 on the Equinedge morning line. And I think the horse to beat, though, if Edgar Paris does he needs Equinedge's pace numbers, because if he was to see what I'm looking at, Midnight Girl's the fastest horse in the race. You don't see that on paper. And so a lot of times the jockey's looking at a form, and if he sees what we're all seeing, he's probably not thinking I'm getting the lead. So that's a little bit of my concern, but he is the fastest horse in the race. I would love for him to send this horse and go. And he's also got the most class in the race. So I think Midnight Girl's the horse to beat. Awesome Pamela is going to be finishing. Will it be too late? I don't know. I think it's pretty chalky here. Of course, Never Sway is our second pick. I think the race is between the 3, 4, and 6.
Yeah, Gino, there really isn't much speed in here, actually. And it looks like it's there for the taking on the stretch out, maybe for Phil D'Amato and Edgar Payeras on the 3.
Yeah, because the horse on paper that a lot of people might look towards and think would be Lady Blackbird, but she's not exactly fast. And if you look at Midnight's Girl, this is a horse who's actually been on the lead sprinting. In her last, the 2 recent races, she was in races where they went sub 22 to the early quarter. And think about how fast they'll be going in a race like this compared to that one. And the horse to her inside reared up, and it forced this filly to take up and settle towards the back, when I'm pretty sure she wanted to be a lot more forwardly placed in there. And I would imagine that has to be the game plan in here. So I'm not necessarily trying to beat her. I will include a couple others because I don't think she's a stone cold single or anything like that. The outside horse is actually the one that's a little bit interesting to me. Lady Chow, or Chow Mar, excuse me. I said Lady Chow Mar, because she is a lady. Chow Mar there. Look at her only race going long on the dirt. And it was when she broke her maiden at Los Alamitos. And other than that, all we have are dirt sprint races for her. And she's just not fast. So in those dirt sprint races, she doesn't have a shot, because if she gets out of the gate so slow, she just can't keep up. In a race like this, where there aren't very many in here that you really love, she's actually proven going long on the dirt. I think she's intriguing. I'll definitely use the 3 and the 7. And I just wasn't sure what to do with Lady Blackbird. She actually might be able to sit a nice trip, because she might have just been in a little bit too tough to start her career. And they may have just found the level where she fits. And her race on the dirt wasn't bad either. So I don't know if it was necessarily like a synthetic or a turf thing. Her race at Sacramento wasn't bad. I'll probably end up using combinations of those 3.
If I can chime in real quick on that,
Sure.
I think that I might have a good opinion on Lady Blackbird.
Please.
Okay, so the strength of race, one of our top algorithms, which is our class number, has that horse in the last couple of races facing really subpar compared to this. And when you see that, even though on paper the horse looks so good, I just think this horse doesn't even belong in this race. And on top of that, a completely separate algorithm of ours, the Equinedge Morning Line, has Lady Blackbird at 15-1, right? So, and they're not even connected. I don't think Lady Blackbird's in the conversation. That's just my humble opinion.
Sure, and if you're not getting a better price, that's the exact type of horse that you need a price to be enticed on. Horses that look like they're a cut below in races, and if the price doesn't necessarily reflect those chances, then maybe you save. If you have a certain bankroll, maybe you save your the horse that you can use for another race.
For another race, exactly.
It is funny. Both of you guys talked about that. People will look at that on the surface and see the ones across the running line. Say, "Oh, this is the horse is a front runner in a race with no speed." Well, Lady Blackbird's going 49 and change for the half when these other horses are stretching out, and this horse will sniff nowhere near the lead with some of these other horses. And it has no. I believe no shot in this race whatsoever. So, all right, let's move on. Race 7. Maiden special weight. We're going 6 panels on the turf. I'm going to go to a horse, guys, on the outside here. I'm sure that Mount Mary's going to take a lot of play here. Came in a big field, ran second. Simon Callahan, Umberto Rispoli jumps aboard. But I'm going to look to the outside. Ragtime Rose. If you go back and look at this horse, was off very slow, was about 10 wide into the turn, and closed very well for a trainer, Jeff Mullins, who is clearly better second time out and is having a very strong meet right now. And I think Ragtime Rose, yes, 5-2 on the morning line. I believe that the Simon Callahan will probably go off as the favorite, but I'm giving a big push to the outside here on Ragtime Rose. Georgie, what are you looking at here in race 7?
So I'm signaling Ragtime Rose in my pick 5s. I really like Ragtime Rose. Was the best thoroughgraph number in the race. Certainly didn't break well, and love the way that this one closed. Just closed a ton of ground. Love the fact that the stud fee $30,000, they paid $525,000. It's a big difference. And so I think Ragtime Rose, the only real competition I see is, like you said, Mount Mary coming in here from Ireland, who certainly ran great in the 13-horse field to be second, can certainly improve, lands in a top barn, but you got to have a single somewhere along the line. And I think drawn nicely on the outside, Ragtime Rose is going to be one of my singles today in the late pick 5.
Gino, anybody else stick out to you? I know that Ryan Hansen won a nice race from off the pace here to close out the day today, sprinting on the turf. He's gotten very adept at that. And he has a horse similar to that, cutting back the 7 in here. Are you on the Ragtime Rose train as well, or no?
My only concern with singling her, and she's obviously a major contender in this race, is that in her only race, we saw her get off slowly. And we don't really know much more about her than that, right? We know that in her lone start, was it just the debut? Maybe she's the type of horse who just gets off to a slow start. Maybe she's a closer. We don't know. She could be right on the lead in this race. It's her second start. But I don't know if I could be locked into her alone at a short price, and in particular with the race, the way this race looks on paper. Now, there are a couple first-time starters and a lot of unknowns. So maybe a few of these get the lead or show some speed. But if they don't, the only thing that I know for sure is that Electric Glide is pretty quick. And I wanted to look at Electric Glide's races. So her debut race, she lost to Home Cooking, who was the nice Baffert horse who came right back and finished second in the Grade 1 Del Mar Debutante in her second start. And she should have won that race. She opened up in that race. She should have won that Grade 1. And Electric Glide then goes over to Losal. She actually gets the lead. She breaks on top. But they chose to sit, and the 3-5 favorite ends up going out front, getting the lead, and then just goes on and wins. If she just breaks well, she's probably getting the lead in here, down on the inside. Now, so from a pace standpoint, she checks the box for me. Now, I wanted to look at what the pedigree was like. Her dam never tried the turf, but she is a half-sister to a 4-time turf winner who's also a multiple stakes winner. So this horse might be better on the turf, might have a pace advantage over a lot of these. She's proven, she's raced twice, she has some bottom. She might be getting the lead on a full furlong cutback in here. I hope they send her hard. I think I have to use her in the pick 5 just in case some of these other first-time starters don't break well. She could have a length on this field, and it might leave Ragtime Rose with a little too much to do. So I definitely needed her on the ticket.
Scotty, I know you use a lot of pedigree in your system, and are you spreading here? What are your thoughts here? What's everything coming down to in this race for you?
Well, I find it a tough race. I was really surprised to see that Mount Mary, the 3-horse, was 4-5 on the Equinedge morning line. That kind of surprised me. The system doesn't usually like foreign horses that much. It's also 27% to win. It's also got a decent GSR. Ragtime Rose has the top GSR, and it's the Equinedge top pick. So I don't know much more than that. I think that, the connections are obviously very good. It's a tough race. Some considerations. I think the 7-horse is going to run a better race, and I think you might get 10-1 on that horse. Bobbled last time out, did better in its first race on the turf. Here's what I see with the 7, Balenciaga Betty. This horse had a 70 GSR in his first race sprinting on the dirt, and then went to dirt and dropped 11 points and still ran a decent race. So I think you're going to see a better effort from the 7. I think that horse, and I would agree with Electric Glide. The only thing with Electric Glide that hurt me was I can't get past the lack of turf on this horse. At least on our GSR numbers, it's a really, really low number.
And don't be surprised if the 7 for Ryan Hansen, like we spoke of earlier, shows some speed as well. Probably if the 2 takes the lead, that's probably the 7 will sit the garden trip there. And Hansen usually puts some speed into his horses. Although that horse today did come from well off the pace to win the finale at 10-1. All right, let's move on. Race 8, Scotty, starter, optional claimer, going 6 furlongs. What say you in race 8?
Well, Encode is going to be on the pace, but there's a lot of speed here. So the 7 is fast. The 5 Seville Row is fast. I mean, it's a really wide open race. Now, I'm using 5 horses, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. If I look at the genetic strength rating, the 4-horse Houndstooth looks really good in here. It's burned a little bit of money, but this horse, and it's not broke well, gets a new jockey on. I'm really impressed with Ramon Vasquez. He's doing very well, and this horse is getting easier competition here. It's always finishing. In a really tough race, I'm choosing the 4-horse to win this race, Houndstooth.
Houndstooth, and as he just mentioned, George, Ramon Vasquez, he had 4 wins on Sunday and is starting to be one of the leaders in this colony. What are you looking at here in race 8?
So, there was a day where Bill Spar was a fantastic claiming.
Gino, I thought he was going the Hector Barrios route. I started to laugh there. Right?
Is Hector Barrios in here? Legacy.
Where is it?
I was going to make new T-shirts, George. Yeah, I didn't know where you're going.
But no, George, this would have been a Bill Spar bread and butter right here.
Bread and butter for Bill Spar.
First off the claim like this would have been like his game.
Yeah, that was a really big effort. And we saw today, you see it so often. First off the claim, and I've talked to many trainers, man, they get extra special attention. It's a new acquisition for the barn. They might find something that the previous trainer had no idea about, something new, something's going to change. And so you get a brand new barn was right there against, Mickey from Wexford came back and won next time out in a nice race on the outside. So Street Art, I'm kind of rooting for Bill. He doesn't have too many anymore. I mean, he's getting a little old. He's got some health issues, but this is the kind of runner that Bill Spar used to excel at. So I'm going to give him one more chance. And my other play, the best thoroughgraph numbers in the race belong to the 4 Houndstooth.
And it wasn't long ago, Gino, that, like Georgie said, even a year or two ago, Bill Spar, you'd see, 24% first off the claim. And, we still know he's a damn good horseman.
Still know he's
Street Art in the mix for you there, Gino?
Yes, I would like him a lot more if he didn't draw the rail. Because I completely agree with Scotty's assessment in that there's a good amount of speed on paper, and a lot of these horses are going to want to be really close, and that just could put him in a tough spot because he doesn't want to be way out of it. I don't think he wants to be more than 3 lengths off, but you have to sort of pick and choose there because you don't really just get to choose to sit right behind on the inside. Like that trip chooses you. You don't choose it. You can sometimes get lucky enough to get a nice trip down there. This was also a spread out race to me, probably like my least strong opinion of the entire sequence. The only horse that hasn't been mentioned that'll be on one ticket if I play a couple different pick 5s. I know he's probably not good enough and not as good as the rest of this group, but there might be a version or two of this race where Damasio gets a good trip and maybe just falls into a good trip. Is that trip good enough to win? Well, the price might be enough to entice me in a spot or two because going through this field one at a time, who do we know for sure wants to sit off the pace? I mean, pretty much Houndstooth, and maybe we can see like the Midico and Nice Guy Clay, but they might even like get caught up pressing a little bit. I could see Nice Guy Clay. So there aren't that many horses who could be passing horses late in here. Houndstooth is one, but maybe Houndstooth, like Scotty mentioned, is a short price and has some issues breaking at the start. Then all of a sudden there could only be 1 or 2 horses that are in the spot where they could fall into it. And one of those horses might be Damasio. Seville Road also on the ticket for me. I'll probably throw Nice Guy Clay in. Shout out to Helton, who, this horse had to be named after the former USC coach, and then Houndstooth. So those will all be on the ticket for me.
I think guys, one more thing I wanted to add on this. With Houndstooth, they put on blinkers last time out, right? And there was 12 horses, 11 other horses. It was a much tougher field than this.
Yep.
And the horse broke 8th of 12 horses. And, it lost by 9.5 lengths. And it looks bad on paper, but the horse was never going to win that race.
No.
Vasquez jumps aboard, sits inside. There's not a lot of horses in this race. There's a lot of speed. So the horse all of a sudden finds itself probably 3 or 4 or 5 lengths back, but with really nobody pressing on the outside. I mean, I really envision Houndstooth getting a really, really nice trip. And I agree with Gino. We just don't know the class level of Damasio yet, but has the style. But we'll have to improve because that particular maiden race wasn't that strong. But I agree with the style alone. if the 4 doesn't run, then Damasio could surprise at a big price.
I want to interject something real quick, which has nothing to do with handicapping. But Damasio, I know for a fact his name, that's Frank Damasio. He's a minister. He's got a giant ministry, a church. And both of you guys are going to need a lot of praying to get Damasio in the winning.
That's well
right now. You better
well
pray,
done.
baby.
And
pray to the ministry.
And one thing that maybe Vasquez can do with Houndstooth is he jumps aboard, and we've been singing his praises a lot. He is an excellent speed rider. Now, does that mean he's going to put Houndstooth on the lead? Well, no. But kind of what Scotty was hitting at, can he just get this horse to show a little bit more positional speed and just get a better beginning, get a better start, and then he can pick where he wants to sit. He doesn't have to be making up ground just to get in contention with this field. So that he's always going to do well out here when he's on horses because he's a speed rider. And out here, if you can ride speed really well, you're probably going to be successful in this colony.
And if you look, guys, I'm sorry to chime in so much on this horse, but if you look and you throw out the last race, the horse did not get a good trip. 3 back going 6.5, that horse barely lost against a really tough group. And then going 6.5 furlongs, won by 4 3/4 lengths. Now that was a much easier group, but this horse is going to like this trip on the dirt. I love the blinkers back off. They tried it. It didn't work. This horse absolutely fits in here. And there is so much speed. Now, I think the only thing I have to worry about is maybe cover one speed horse, because there's an old saying that speed kills speed. So if one of these horses was to clear of all those 4 speed horses, who would it be? And for me, it would definitely be Encode, the 7 horse.
Well, I think, we'll move on to the last race here. 1 second there. Houndstooth clearly has been facing better. Like you say, you go back a little bit, dig a little bit deeper. It's a much better field it faced last time out. Takes the blinkers back off. The last 2 dirt sprints before that had drawn the rail 2 times in a row, so it gets a much better post. The only other horse I'm going to add in that I thought was a little interesting was the outside horse, Laughing Legacy, who's going to get a nice outside draw. Peter Miller deadly off the claim, having another terrific meet, and he actually might be able to sit off of that speed at a nice 8-1 morning line. So I guess we're kind of all over the place. It's either Houndstooth or the all button here. So all right, let's move on to the last race. We love these maiden special weights going a mile on the turf. Gino, what are you liking in here to close out the pick 5?
Many tickets will probably be single to Luca Grazzi to close out. Luca Grazzi, who tried the turf for the first time. This is going to be his 3rd career start. He tried the dirt in his debut at Gulfstream. Then he came over here to Southern California. Ran very well, finishing 3rd in an open maiden special weight race.
That's the big thing.
Now this is against Calbred. So
correct.
While a lot of people will be probably singling in on him, but now my only knock on him and my only concern with singling him, I'm going to use one other horse in here who on paper doesn't look very good. But I think there are some reasons to believe that there could be built-in improvement. So some of the figures and things that we see may not matter all that much. I'm going to use Please Focus in here, the 5, along with the outside horse. Please Focus looks like by far the main speed on paper. There is nobody else in here that's proven showing any type of speed. And Please Focus has actually shown sprint speed in both races. They were both on the dirt, but now he's going to try the turf. His dam won going 1 1/8 on the turf, so distance shouldn't be a problem for him. All 4 of his siblings won on the turf. So his dam was a turf winner. All 4 foals that she produced won on the turf. And going along on the turf will be no problem based on pedigree. And we know he's got the speed at a sprint level. Now he stretches out 2 sprints to a route. The pattern fits very well. I'll use the 5 along with the 9, and maybe we can catch a flyer here with the 5 horse, open up on this field and try to steal one late.
George, Please Focus. Are you using that horse as well, or are you still with us there?
I'm trying to focus. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm going to be going to number 3, Crypto Ride. Number 3, Crypto Ride, really well bred, I thought, for the turf. JJ Hernandez jumps aboard. Again, that's a really sharp angle for me. Had some issues, bumped at the start, climbed. That race was kind of, I think, a setup. Is going to love the turf. And I think Crypto Ride is going to come flying by them all late like a zephyr to get the win.
All right, Scotty, I'm a couple horses I'm interested in. Your thoughts on Reckless Affair, who I think is a horse that's has some talent, but it's been green in both races that I watched. But Luca Grazzi, is that a standout on your numbers? Like Gino said, giant drop when going from open company to Calbreds only, and you're shaking your head no. So I'm guessing you're going elsewhere.
Well, this is an easier group for sure for the 9. There's no doubt about it. But some of these. Well, I knew who Gino was talking about. I knew, Gino, you were going to say the 5. That horse is so much the fastest horse in the race. It's not even funny. I mean, it's just a matter, can the horse relax? We don't know. It's really not a turf horse, but it has some really dangerous speed. To put it in perspective, it's got a 71 on our pace number and 100 being best. The next closest is the 7 horse, who's my top pick, Chicken Finger Friday, who's got a 46. So it's a big pace advantage for the 5. And you're right. You see horses like this win all day long, but they're sneaky because people see the bad form and they don't know what to do with it. So I think Gino's spot on. I'm only using 2 horses. I'm using the 5 and 7. I'm trying to beat the 9.
All right. Interesting enough, because that will clearly be the shortest price on the day. Luca Grazzi, who's 6 to 5 in the morning line. I think we're going to see somewhere in the 3 to 5 range in there, and everybody's trying to beat it, which is what we always say, that we are kind of the no chalk zone here as well.
Yep.
Which is a good thing, right? I mean, sometimes you got to take what they give you, but for the most part, I think all 4 of us agree you're only going to make money when you play some prices. So that being said, that clears us through the Saturday plays. So let's just go one by one. If you have a play or 2 spot plays here on Sunday. So, Scotty, you want to start out maybe 1 or 2 horses to look for on the Sunday card that you're focusing in on?
Well, and again, it's, I really try to play against chalk. And if I do use chalk, I have no problem with it because I'll throw some exactas in there. But I think I'll give you, in race number 1, just genuinely who I like. I think the 2 horse, Loyal to a Fault's going to have the lead, a fairly easy lead, is 7 to 5 on the Equinedge morning line. But the 5 horse, Graze My Heart, is even money on the Equinedge morning line. I think it's a 2 horse race between those horses. I think Graze My Heart's going to catch this horse. I think this horse has more class. I think Graze My Heart is going to win and going to win easy. I'm going to use the Equinedge long shot for 3rd. 5-2-4, Ice Cold Dave Weaver style.
Wow.
I love it. Ice Cold Dave Weaver style. You have another race you want us to focus on, or just one race on Sunday? That's fine.
No, we can hold on here. I did put some notes on some ladder races. I think the 2 horse Dash Away. I know it's the 8 to 5 morning line. It's 7 to 5 on our numbers. I don't think anybody's going to compete with Dash Away, the 2. I did think the 7 horse, though, the first time starter, I really like this horse. I think this horse might run good for Mike McCarthy. I think that's chalk, but I think those 2 horses will be tough. Oh, and by the way, a long shot there who's going to have the lead in that race is going to be the 4 horse at 20 to 1 morning line. Good Is Gone. I don't know if the horse can end up in the money, but will be on the lead. And also Hopkins, 3 to 5 on the Equinedge morning line, 5 to 2 on John White's morning line, has a 57% chance of winning, and is 3 to 5 on our Equinedge morning line. Has a really good genetic strength rating. I think the 6 horse Hopkins in race number 6, and Castle Knock. I'm sorry to give you chalk, but I think Castle Knock at 6 to 5 on the morning line. This horse has a huge pace advantage, and I think Castle Knock's going to go gate to wire in race number 7, and that might be it for me. Oh, I have one more for you. The 5 horse Zookeeper. This horse is a 75 on the pace number, has a decent win percentage, but here's the cool thing. It's going up 11 points in our genetic strength rating, right? So it's the fastest horse in the race. It has the biggest class drop from going from a 52 SOR to a 42. So 10-point class drop. Win percentage is right there. And it goes up 11 points in genetic strength rating. So all the things you want to see, easier competition and bred to go the distance. So I think Zookeeper could really surprise them and maybe win race number 9. That's what I got for Sunday.
All right. And Zookeeper ran last time out, taking the all-important drop, lost to one of our favorites, Geez. And Gino, let's head to you. You got a couple plays here on the Sunday
I got
card?
a couple early in the card on Sunday. First, let's go to race number 2. I felt like this horse was really speaking to me because the name is Agrigento, which is a city in Italy, but the horse is a Calbred. So it's like, hey, I'm a Calbred, also really from a city in Italy, when you break it down. So really was speaking to me. And this is a horse who comes into the Leonard Powell barn for the first time. I love when he takes over a horse like this. He has done really well through the years when he acquires a horse and they come into his program, and you can just look right at the numbers. He's 3 for the last 10 with first-time acquisitions, 4 for the last 12. He just does really, really well with new horses that come into his barn. And a lot of times they're more like this in private purchases or trainer changes than they are necessarily first start off the claim. He doesn't claim a ton of horses, but he still does really well when he does. And the only time this horse went on the dirt was in the career debut, sprinting on the dirt. And it was a pretty good effort. This horse was a little bit slow to get started and sat mid-pack, was wide throughout, was about 5 lengths off. The top 2 finishers were 1-2 in that race. There was no passing at all. He was the only horse who made up any ground. And then in his second start, they stepped him up. They faced Calbred maiden special weights. They tried the turf. And that race was just maybe a little bit too tough. There was also probably something that went wrong because that was back in May, and we have not seen him since May. Now he shows back up for a barn who's very solid with fresh horses, with new horses, and his dirt form overall is just pretty good. It fits with this group at this level, and he's 5-1 or so. If he's 7-2 plus, I think he's worthy of a win wager in race number 2.
And Gino, just to add to that, if you go to XBTV and you watch one of the works, I believe it was actually the latest work, Agrigento, I believe that's how you pronounce it, worked very well with Neige Blanche. Now, Neige Blanche is a turf horse, but has plenty of talent. And it was a dirt work. If you get the time, go back and watch the work. Very impressive. So I had picked that horse on top because of that.
We're in trouble now.
And drawing a line through the last race as well.
Can I change my pick now?
We were on fire last week.
We were good last week. Let's give you one more in the third race. The third race, the number 7, Lee Mubai, who has just been facing a little bit better. And she was off. Her race in December was very good. And that was her second start in the U.S. And she actually had a little bit of trouble in her first start. She just didn't really seem all that comfortable. She ran a lot better on December the 27th. She was 4th. She was only beaten a length, and she had legitimate trouble that day. Then she was off from December to September. She shows up in the Peter Miller barn for the first time. She's bumped around at the start. She settles inside. She's sitting about 3rd, 4th in a pretty good spot. She's only about 2 lengths off. Then she backs up a little bit. She's about 5 off. She comes back again into contention in the early stretch, but things just get really, really tight at the same time when he was getting a little bit tired. He had the right to get tired in that race after having to kind of start, move up into it after that long layoff. And then the traffic comes and he sort of just backs up. I think he takes a big step forward in here. Second start off that bench. Hernandez keeps the faith in here. I think if you're playing early pick 5s and stuff, definitely throw him in. I'll build a ticket or 2 around him and probably have some win money here also.
All right, nice 6-1 on Lee Mubai. And Georgie, which Lee Mubai way are you heading in the last? You got a couple plays here on Sunday?
I got 2 plays. One is race 6, number 6, Hopkins. And that one is trained by Bob Baffert. The thoroughgraph numbers, both thoroughgraph numbers stand out. It's got one of the lone speed in the race, 7 furlongs. The only other competition is the other Baffert. I think Hopkins is going to win that race. But now I want to get to an offer that I want to make you guys an offer you can't refuse because Luca Brazzi, he could win the last race Saturday. And I think Luca Brazzi is from Agrigento. And it's just coincidence.
Look at that.
The 2 horses I liked, one of them was Agrigento.
Nice.
I like that one. Debuted with the best thoroughgraph number by far. Hector Berrios, I love that guy. And he's going from Blake to Leonard Powell. Leonard Powell won a race today. I think Luca Brazzi is from Sicily, Agrigento. So that's going to be my other pick. So there's a lot of weight on this horse. He's been eating a lot of meatballs.
By the way, T-shirts have sold out on GeorgeLovesHector.com. For those, we will be replenishing those next week. The Hector Barrios train rolls on with Georgie. So a lot of weight on that horse, Agrigento, in race 2. All right,
hey, next week the pick 4, I think next Saturday is an all stakes pick 4.
Yes,
so that's gonna be exciting.
There are a lot of stakes races next week. It's a really, really strong card on Saturday.
Gino, is there some kind of a bet where you pick horses and football and stuff like that?
Oh, George, you know what? I was going to say, you are earning your money today. That's like the 3rd transition that you've had on this show. Man, whatever they're paying you, it's not enough. It is not enough. Pick'em.santanita.com. That's the website. We actually just did a stream about 15, 20 minutes. It shows you how to sign up. It's totally free. You don't have to put your credit card in or anything like that. All you do is just log in and create an account. And it's 12 prop questions. A couple of them are as simple as pick the winner of race number 5. And then others ask, which is going to be the highest number? Juan Hernandez wins on the day. Manny Machado hits or walks, or Ovechkin goals and assists. You literally have some questions that cross 3 different sports. It's a ton of fun. There's a couple of college football props on there. If you win, you get $1,000 every contest, not for the whole time, but every game, there's $1,000 given to the winner. Totally free to enter. Pick'em.santanita.com. If you need any help, we have a live stream on my Twitter. It's me, Gino B. We went through each prop and gave you a little analysis if there were maybe 1 or 2 that you just had no clue.
By the way, I've been trying to get very creative on some of those picks, right? And the Sundays are not up yet because I got a little out of control, and our senior director of marketing nixed it today. So I have to go back and change one after the show is over because it was. You
can't let Chappie get too big for his britches over there. Right?
We got to keep carried away. Yeah. So it didn't slide by management. But all right, before we go, Scotty, when's the next live show coming up with the Equine Edge?
So I've got Equine Edge live tomorrow. We're doing the Golden Hour. That's at 3:45 Eastern time. And we're covering Golden Gate as well as Santa Anita all day long for every single race from both tracks. And we're doing the same thing coming right back on Sunday. So we've got 2 full days of racing covering the Great Race Place and as well as Golden Gate Fields. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll be doing pick 5s, pick 6s, of course, the Golden Hour Daily Double, Golden Hour Pick 4, both on Saturday and Sunday.
Love it. All right, gentlemen, I appreciate it so much. For Scotty, Gino, and the 2 bald guys, we wish you guys nothing but the best of luck all weekend. And we'll catch you next Friday for a preview of a big stakes race on Saturday. And then the following week, we're looking at Breeders' Cup. So coming up on a couple of big weekends, let's make some seed money this weekend. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.